This video isn't what it seems. I know the title said horse breeds I would never get. I love all horses, so if the right situation comes up, I would get any horse breed. What this is more so aimed for is either new horse owners looking for their first horse, or if you're brand new to horses and you're wondering what type of horse you would like to have, these are breeds I would recommend not getting as a first-time horse owner. So the first horse breed on my list is the thoroughbred. So thoroughbreds are known mostly for being race horses. They're trained to run fast. These horses are very athletic and versatile. They can do basically anything they could be trained to do. Another point is they tend to be a little bit sensitive personality-wise, and they're known to be hot-blooded horses. The reason the thoroughbred is the first horse on my list, and I would recommend new horse owners don't get a thoroughbred, is mainly because off-the-track thoroughbreds. So off-the-track thoroughbreds are race horses that have retired from racing and they're being sold to the general public now. And I've seen a lot of people get off-the-track thoroughbreds just because they're cheap. They don't realize the amount of training that those horses are gonna need, and also the rehabilitation health-wise. So when a horse comes from the track, they are trained how to race, and that is the only thing they're trained how to do, is to go fast. So they need very specialized training to teach them how to be a proper riding horse. And if you're relatively new to horses, or this is the first horse you're looking at purchasing, that can just be a lot of responsibility for you, and also there's a big learning curve with that. And even though these horses tend to be a lot cheaper to purchase because they're coming off the track, in the long run, you're gonna spend a lot more money than you think, because you're gonna have to pay for training possibly, and then you're gonna have to pay for vet bills, because a lot of these horses aren't treated right at the track, and so coming off the track, they need to work things out of their system. Sometimes they're gonna have leg injuries or bowed tendons and things like that that just need to be rehabilitated. Now, all that said, I have known some great thoroughbreds that were great riding horses and even great for like beginner riders. And so you really just need to know what you're getting. If a horse is being advertised as an off-the-track thoroughbred, but yet they've had years of other experience between that, then I would say that could potentially be a good horse for you. I'm more so pinpointing the horses coming straight off of the track, or a lot of times trainers or sellers will get horses straight off the track just to flip them and turn around real quick, like, you know, within 60 to 90 days. I would stay away from those situations and more so go for a mature, well-trained thoroughbred if that is what you want. The next horse breed on my list that I would recommend new first-time horse owners staying away from would be Mustangs. And I know that a Mustang isn't really like a horse breed, but basically what a Mustang is they are the wild horses that roam America and are rounded up by the Bureau of Land Management every year and auctioned off. People are gonna be drawn to Mustangs just for the same reason they're drawn to off-the-track thoroughbreds, and that's because they are cheap. I've heard stories about people getting Mustangs from the Bureau of Land Management for like $25. That is pretty good for a horse. The only aspect of that you need to be aware of is that these horses are completely wild and they need to be tamed and trained. So once again, a lot more work than I think people realize. The Bureau of Land Management also has certain specifications for you to get these horses. So for example, a lot of times you're gonna need like 6-foot round pen panels to keep the horse in, because the Mustangs will climb out of a normal fence. Someone who may not know better may think that they can buy one of these horses and send it to a trainer and then get this perfect horse back from the trainer. If you're a first-time horse owner and that's what you want to do, whether it's a Mustang or any horse, if in your mind you think, okay, I'm gonna just buy this horse, I'll send it to the trainer will work it out, and then I'll get it back and it'll be perfect, I highly recommend not doing that. And the reason for that is you don't know how that horse is gonna turn out. A lot of times a trainer can work with a horse and make a really nice horse, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that horse is gonna fit you in terms of your abilities and its abilities and the way it responds. So if you are looking for a first horse, I would recommend you look for a horse that already has the training that you need in order for you to be able to ride it. You don't want to put yourself in a dangerous situation. And if you're relatively new to horses and you're trying to work with a wild horse, that's just a recipe for disaster, and I don't want anyone to get hurt, so that is why I am saying this. The next horse breed on my list is the Arabian, and I think Arabians can go both ways. They can either make great first-time horses and great lesson horses, or they can tend to be a little bit more on the sensitive side and need a more experienced hand. Arabians tend to get a bad rap. I've had quite a few Arabians and I've worked with quite a few, and they have always been the most pleasant horses. I think some of the reasons people don't like them is, number one, their looks. A lot of horse people don't like the dished face. They think it looks very not natural. Another thing that people say about Arabians is that they tend to be a little bit high-strung, which is where they're very sensitive. Things can set them off easily. I mean, that could be true for any horse breed. I have not noticed that in Arabians, and I feel like I've worked with quite a few of them. I think they're usually very pleasant. I do think they can be quirky, so maybe that's more so what they're getting at. The reason I recommend new horse owners not to get Arabians is really because of where the state of the Arabian breed is in America. So right now, there are a ton of Arabian horses in America. The sad thing is a lot of them end up in kill lots or auctions or bad situations just because there are so many of them, and maybe people get them and they don't know how to handle them or deal with them. I don't want that to happen to those horses. And so I want the right people to get Arabians. And while yes, some Arabians may be cut out for being first-time horses, not all of them are going to be. So I want the right people and experienced people to get Arabian horses so that they don't end up in the kill lots and in the auctions and things like that. My next point isn't really a specific horse breed, it's more a broad type of horse, which would be draft horses. Draft horses are larger than most horses, and they tend to require a lot more care. That is the reason I personally would not want to get a draft horse if I was looking for my first horse. Mind you, draft horses are amazing and their personalities are amazing, and a lot of them would be great for families or for a new time horse owner. The thing is, you have to know the very specific needs that draft horses have. A lot of times you can find draft horses relatively cheap at rescues and horse auctions and kill pens and things like that, and they are nicely trained and ready to go. The only aspect is draft horses require a lot more financial commitment compared to what you're just going to purchase them for. Draft horses can weigh over a ton, and so they need a lot of food to sustain them. Horses usually eat between 1% to 2% of their body weight a day. So if you have a 2,000-pound animal, that is a lot of food. So that means if you get a draft horse, your feed bill is going to be a lot higher than it would for a normal horse. Another part of that is draft horses need specialized care for their feet. So these are big animals. Imagine being 2,000 pounds and having to lift up your leg and hold it there for 30 minutes. So a lot of draft horses have problems when it comes to getting their feet done just because they're big, they can't balance well, then it's hard on the farrier. So a lot of times you're gonna have to hire a specialized farrier to take care of their feet. And a lot of times you're also gonna need stocks, which is this contraption that the draft horse will go in, and they can actually tie the horse's leg up so that the farrier can work on the horse's leg, and then the walls of the contraption kind of balance the horse. Otherwise, it's really hard for some horses to get their feet done. So I absolutely love draft horses. Colin loves draft horses. He wants one very badly. But the thing is, if this is your first horse you're getting, you need to know what you're getting into before you buy them. My next breed can go both ways. They make great first-time pets, and sometimes they don't. It just depends on the situation. This breed is the miniature horse. Everyone, I think, needs a miniature horse. I think they're the cutest little horses. They're great pets. They're super friendly. They're great for kids, and they're just fun to have around. That being said, there's an aspect of caring for miniature horses that usually goes overlooked when people think about them, and that is their diet. Especially if you're a new horse owner, you don't really think about managing your horse's diet or thinking that horses can overeat. But the thing with miniature horses is that they are very prone to obesity, and that leads to laminitis, and then that leads to founder. So what happens is these little ponies eat, and they have kind of a negative effect to the sugar in the grass, and it causes the tissues in their hooves to become inflamed and to weaken. And over time, what can happen with that is those tissues become so weakened that there's a bone in the hoof that can actually start to move and sink into the hoof. And at that point, sometimes it's fixable, it's called founder. Sometimes it's fixable, sometimes it's not, and they'll have to be put down. So the thing with this is, like, a miniature horse needs to be very managed with their diet. So a lot of times this means, you know, obviously keeping track of them, checking their weight, seeing if they're getting fat. It means having a dry lot, so an area where there's not a lot of grass that the horse can go on. It means feeding them specialized food that doesn't have a lot of sugar, and that is like certain grasses and things like that. And so those are all aspects that go into caring for a miniature horse. It's a lot of work, and it can actually feel a little burdensome because, you know, we want our horses to be able to enjoy themselves. Horses are happiest when they're eating grass. And so there's an effect where it's like, okay, you see your miniature horse not being able to eat grass and you kind of feel bad for it, and then you're having to keep it on the dry lot, and you know, it kind of goes in a circle. Some miniature horses get along fine out on grass, but the majority of them are not going to. If you are looking to get your first horse, knowing how to adequately care for your horse in every aspect is very important. So I have an online course that walks you through everything you need to know about caring for your horse. I believe this will be a good tool for you to help you prepare for having that horse and being able to take care of it effectively. So if you're interested in that course, the link is in the description. It's at shop.equinehelper.com, and it's the Horse Care Keys to Success course.